Apocalypse. I'm Ben. As always, I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And Pete.
Hello.
This week we bring to you the story of the Franklin expedition, better known as HMS Terror, the voyage of HMS Terror and HMS Erebus.
I thought this was JFK Part 4.
Oh man, have you been researching JFK all week?
Still, yes.
Have you been putting through have you been finalising your Sasquatch theory?
100%.
Oh, sorry, maybe next time.
I even went there. I popped up.
You went to Dallas?
I popped to Dallas and I went to the bush and everything. I went
the knoll.
to try and look.
The knoll, not the bush.
No, it was the bush. It was the bush that the Sasquatch was hiding behind. So I went and looked to see if I could find. Yeah, soil samples and shit, but no, nothing hard. Facts, am I right? Yeah.
Sorry, mate. It's not. We moved on from JFK. That's it. Sorry to break this to you.
That was a wasted $9,000, wasn't it? Fucking hell.
Well, write a book. So we're going to be getting into that. It's quite horrifying. I guess it's light and fluffy for us. This is like an early Christmas present for you, because you know when we go dark at Christmas. This is like our warm-up.
Run up to it. Yeah.
Feeling festive,
Well,
so I thought I'd use this.
I attended the Christmas lights switch on Saturday as a dignitary, and you know.
Look at him.
Well, I was.
Deputy Mayor Ben.
I was.
I can think of a word that begins with D. It's neither of those two.
Did you wear your medallion?
I wasn't actually. Protocol says I can't if the mayor's there.
Oh, staging you.
Well, it's just protocol, isn't it?
He's the only one allowed to wear the medallion.
Yeah.
He has a proper chain, doesn't he? I only get a medallion.
Yeah. Your time will come, don't worry.
Sure it will. Sure it will. Right, anyway, let's thank some new returning listeners and then we'll crack on with the main topic. So, I'd just like to say, take this opportunity to say thank you for listening, and that you can follow us on Facebook at Cutting Through the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse, YouTube is Apocalypse Bull, and SoundCloud and Spotify and all those other little podcasting networks where you listen to We're Cutting Through the Bull in the PTA. Right, so let's thank some listeners. Stevenage in the UK, Walnut Creek in America, Pretoria in South Africa, Mumbai in India, Ilford in the UK, Frankfurt am Main in Germany, Erbil in, I don't know that flag, is that Iran?
I think it's Iraq.
Iraq? Oh, we haven't had a Iraqi listener for a while. Detroit in the US, Cleckheaton in the UK, Cantina, that's playing all the time.
Do you reckon that's in Scotland? Do you reckon that's in Scotland?
No,
Cleckheaton. Cleckheaton. Where's that?
Probably up north, I don't know, sounds grim. Vasteras in Sweden, Mountain View in the US, Brussels in Belgium, Ashburn in America, and Guadalajara, Spain is top. Thank you very much for listening. Like I say, give us a like, give us a subscribe, reach out and touch us. We don't bite.
We like to be touched.
You weirdos.
Right, Sir John Franklin. Big polar explorer, Sir John Franklin. He liked a polar exploration. Even though on his last one, he'd have to eat his own shoes. They're leather boots.
Yeah.
It's skin, isn't it? It's animal derivative.
Soaked and boiled in water, I guess.
No, probably just fucking slicing it off and put it in
Really?
your mouth, yeah. Because it's something to eat. If you can't make fire, I guess.
If you're starving, Claire, I'll start looking appetising.
Yeah, but everything would, wouldn't it?
That's it.
I'd have eaten you guys on the
Oh,
third
I know
day.
you would have done. Fat bastard.
Well, I'm just getting my own winter blubber on. I'll survive.
What you on about? You were trying to eat his leg about 10 minutes ago.
Winter blubber.
Kept grabbing Mike's foot and trying to take a chomp.
Oh, believe me, I would not eat Mike's foot.
You don't eat the skag feet.
I'm not eating the skag feet. Mike's got the feet of a heroin user.
I don't deny it.
You know, I we sat here sometimes playing champ or taking slippers and he'll literally say, time to air the skag feet. And it's like, oh man.
I waft him in his face.
You don't want it's an assault on the senses.
We did say this episode was going to be grim and dark.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, the crews of HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, that's like, they never had to blow in my skag feet. But let's
that would have been
say
the least of their problems.
HMS Erebus and HMS Terror. Erebus, obviously, is from the Greek mythology.
Is it Erebus or Erebus?
Erebus, you can say Erebus, I guess. He is the personification of darkness, the offspring of chaos. Oh, that's
what you're calling your ships.
That's metal as fuck,
Terror
innit?
and chaos, basically.
Eros' son, wasn't it?
I didn't quite look that far. I was looking at what he was called. He was sweet as fuck.
One of the dark, nasty gods of Greek mythology.
Yes, very much so. And you've got HMS Terror.
It is metal, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's metal as fuck.
Terror's more metal.
Yeah.
I think that is the most metal name for a fucking HMS warship of some sort.
Oh, that's the beautiful thing. Like, we used to name ships with cool stuff. Now they're named all after counties, aren't they? It's all the...
Or Boaty McBoatface.
Or Boaty McBoatface. But back then, you had, like, HMS Victory, HMS Terror, HMS Erebus, HMS Arse Kicker.
Oh, we've still got
Why isn't there called a ship called HMS Arse Kicker?
We've still got like Victorious and things like that.
We've got Revenge.
Vengeance,
Vengeance, yeah.
Vanguard, Victorious. There's all sorts of cool.
Warspite's my favourite name for a ship, I think. HMS Warspite was pretty badass.
Trident.
That's not a bad one. But they name them boring now. They're all fucking named after somebody or a county, and it sucks. Call them something fun. So they left England in 1845. 1845, what a time to be British, eh?
I don't know, I wasn't around.
Oh, I was.
Just at the start of the Victorian age, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Churchill was born in the 1800s, to be fair, wasn't he?
1880 something, I think. 1890.
You would know.
No, it's got to be.
I'm older
than
than him.
that. It's got to be earlier than that. Because he was in the Boer War, wasn't he? He was a,
Of
he
course.
was a journalist.
Yeah, well, he was only very young then. If you'd been born in 1880, you'd probably been right.
Definitely not 1890s.
No, definitely not. But yeah, 1845. Britannia rules the motherfucking waves. The empire's getting towards its peak. The country's becoming wealthy. The average people aren't, but the country's becoming wealthy. Britannia rules the waves. Did I mention that? No one's fucking with us, basically. We're the America of that point. No one is fucking with us.
We were definitely getting a lot. You say the poorer people weren't getting much, but everyone was starting to live a lot better, weren't they? Everybody was. That's about when it started to really improve for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately it was an exploitation of others, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, we can't all have these high Marxist ideals that you hold, Mike.
I'm just saying. It may have been a glory days for us, but it certainly wasn't glory days for our subjects.
There's always the bottom rung, that's the one. They have that in every empire.
Yeah. Just making it.
Yeah, even so, right? It's still coming towards the peak of the British Empire. We're the big boys, and they left HMS Terror and HMS Erebus left England in 1845 to go and search for the Northwest Passage. If you want to get from the UK to India, you've usually got to circle around the tip of South America.
Not really. You just quickly jump in a plane and 8
Well,
hours
if you're in the age of sail, right, you do that.
I know.
Unless, of course, they did have planes. It's all a conspiracy.
Well.
The Earth's flat anyway. We all know that. So.
Well, obviously. Disclaimer. Right, so the Northwest Passage is like the top of Canada between the top of Canada and the North Pole, basically.
Sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings, though.
The Northwest Passage.
The Northwest Passage, where the dead live.
Is Gandalf Irish now?
Is that Irish?
It was a bit of
I can do an Irish accent.
There was a bit of a Liam Neeson to that.
That's kind of what I was going for, to be fair.
Well, the expedition was... If you can get from the Atlantic to the Pacific without sailing around the tip of South America, then you're shaving months off your journey, aren't you? So it's trade. Trade follows the flag. Boom. It's going to be, and especially if whoever can control it, and let's face it, who's going to control the sea again at this point?
British?
Yeah! So the expedition was commanded by Captain Sir John Franklin, a seasoned polar explorer who'd already led 2 previous searches for the Northwest Passage. And on his last one became known as the man who ate his shoes.
All I can hear in my head is rule Britannia.
Should we stand up and salute for a moment?
Britannia rule the waves.
So, they sailed from Britain to what is now Nunavut in northern Canada, stopping off at Greenland along the way for provisions. These ships are actually like old gunships, so that more bomb ships they're called. So they're quite stoutly built anyway, because they used to have like massive mortars in the belly of them, and they were used to bombard shore targets and cities and things like that.
Isn't the hull reinforced as well?
The hull gets reinforced with steel.
They were ace, weren't they? They really were fucking next. They were next gen. That was what gave us that edge, wasn't it? We were amazing at
Ships.
Yeah.
building ships. That was it. We just fucking had it to a T.
Well, we knew we had to do it, didn't we? We had to be great at it, otherwise, we're an island.
Little island. Yeah, it was that or be just swamped.
They even had central heating, these ships. A
Furnace pipe, yeah.
was fed from the stove into pipes that went all around the ship, so, there was some central heating to a point.
Feat of engineering, isn't it?
And
is there any surviving of those vessels?
These
around?
ships are still there, but they're just under the water now.
No, but like of those ships, are there any like in docks that you could go and see?
I very much doubt it. We've never been keeping ships.
I know there is one older one down Plymouth way.
Well, you've still got
Portsmouth.
Victory. You've still got the
Victory.
Golden Hind somewhere. I think Francis Drake's ship.
Is that of a similar? I'm trying to work out if
Francis Drake is like a lot earlier than this.
Yeah,
that's the Armada. So you're talking Tudor times.
Yeah.
1500 and something. This is obviously 300 years later, near enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, it's
Built to last.
Yeah, and the reinforced hulls obviously act as icebreakers, good icebreakers,
Yeah.
to get through the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a revolutionary thing they had steam engines. But the steam engines were a bit crap. They weren't naval steam engines, they were actually trained steam engines.
Right.
So they had a driven by a propeller.
Like.
They only had enough coal for 12 days, and because they weren't naval engines, like literally designed to power a propeller, they only kicked out at 12 horsepower.
Oh dear.
So actually it was about 4 knots was all they could manage under engine power, and they've only got enough to do that for 12 days.
Not great.
But I suppose if you got the wind and that extra 4 knots, it could push you through some ice. Maybe a little bit more ice. And they were provisioned, of course, with 3 years of a new trend, a new thing, canned food.
Yeah.
Literally just been invented. We'll see how the canned food plays out for these men.
But it's ideal, isn't it? It's going to be a long voyage. Canned food keeps the food obviously
Fresh?
Yeah.
Fresh. I mean, obviously, you still take you take animals with you as well.
They
You'd have
took a lot of chickens and
chickens, a few sheep, some pigs.
cows. Did they take?
Do you know about cows so much? Maybe. I don't know. Definitely goats, probably. I'd imagine. Takes up less room, doesn't they? And imagine being the guy who's got to scoop out the cow shit every day. Oh, all that slopping around in rough seas, going between the cracks of the wooden floors. Oh man, no thank you.
I don't know anywhere near the poop deck.
So in late July of 1845, the 2 ships were seen by a whaler in Baffin Bay, waiting for ice to clear in Lancaster Sound and to begin their journey into the Bering Strait. And it was the last time any of the 129 crewmen were ever seen alive.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, everybody dies.
Yeah, it's quite an early on spoiler, isn't it? Bloody hell, at least build up the fucking tension.
Now, they set off into the Bering Strait. They're going through the ice packs. It's unusually cold. There's a 10-year cold snap in the Arctic. And these boys are doing it right in the middle of it.
Unlucky.
So the ice freezes quicker than they expected because they've got a vague idea of what the weather conditions are going. Well, they know what the weather conditions will be like. People are doing polar explorations, but they're like, well, this is this is summer for the pole. Why is the ice frozen? It's just a 10-year cold snap. Gutting.
Yeah.
So then that freezes, they manage to break free, and they sail into what is appropriately called Terror Bay.
Who named that?
It was named before they got there, weirdly.
Why would you go there?
That sounds fun, doesn't it?
It's like Mosquito Coast.
Yeah, that's where you want to go, isn't it? Mosquito Coast. So, on life on board Erebus and Terror, they faced bitter conditions. In extreme cold, even taking a balaclava off could rip the skin and beard from the chin.
No.
You're looking at like -50 at some points in this.
Brave bastards, aren't they? Brave or stupid, I don't know.
Stupid.
Stupid.
It depends how much they'd have had. I mean, would they have asked for volunteers, or would you
How many
have...
females were on this expedition?
Well, you know what, Claire? It's
Quite a
actually...
few, actually.
Well,
Really?
some. It's...
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast that said some of the bodies that were found, the skeletons, they did DNA testing on, they found that they didn't have... Which chromosome is it?
The Y.
The Y. They didn't have the Y chromosome, so they must have been female. And then she went on to explain to me how we needed to examine the role of women in the armed forces, even back in 1850. And I thought, no, those women were either wives or sex workers.
More like sex slaves, probably.
No, sex workers.
Well,
they'd have been,
yeah, but used in that sense.
No, they were
So,
willing.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
willing prostitutes.
Make
They
a
were
lot of
willing
money.
sex workers.
I
Even
suppose go on board for a
every
year.
ship in the Royal Navy that
The
took
oldest
6
profession in the world, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every ship at the time took fucking like 6 months or something just to get anywhere. And you got all them men on board, and they're going to quite happily pay to have sex with you.
Yeah.
And if you're the commander,
If you-
you want them on board because it stops them buggering each other, basically.
There is that, yeah. You don't want to be giving someone the cat 09 for fucking buggery, do you? Unless they're really into that.
You know, you're on this voyage for a very long time.
You got 3 years worth of food. You're looking
Yeah.
3 to 5 years. They can stretch it out to 5 with rationing.
So you're prepared for a long,
Yeah,
5 years is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's happened since time began. Prostitutes have got on ships because sailors want to fuck. They're at sea for a while. They want to fuck. They're protected by the crew because everyone's got a mutual interest. Like we don't want our sex worker dying, or getting beaten up. So she's got the protection of the crew. All the officers knew it happened. They all turned a blind eye because they'd probably go and see her
I was going to
herself.
say that they'd be in there, wouldn't they?
They were probably first in line.
That's it, yeah. There's some sailors smuggled their wives on board, It's because they don't want to leave. It's human nature, isn't it, at the end of the day? We all want the comfort of the other sex, unless you're gay. And then we want the comfort of this. Well, you know where I'm going
Same
with that.
sex.
We all need a little love.
Whole lot of love. The expedition set off in the spring so they could get as far as possible before winter when their progress was halted.
You're quoting someone here, just...
I am quoting Claire Warrior, Senior Exhibitions Curator of the museum where
That's
this is...
a cool name.
Isn't it? Well, my last name was Warrior. You're sweet as fuck.
Change your name, Claire.
Now's the time.
What, by adding the E instead?
Oh, yeah.
Which you can do without the E.
Warrior.
Why don't you change your name to Warrior Boudica? That's got a feminist name. You can go with that.
No.
No, okay. Unfamiliar wildlife might be glimpsed as, narwhals, which were called sea unicorns. And imagine it was quite,
They're mad, they aren't they?
Yeah.
narwhals are great.
Yeah.
That is what they are, though, aren't they? The
Yeah.
unicorns of the sea. They're the real unicorns, really.
Mm.
The Arctic could be a place of freezing fog and heaving seas, and the expedition crews were sometimes at the mercy of the immense pressure of the sea ice and the unpredictable behaviour of icebergs. It was also at times breathtakingly beautiful with dazzling colours and glowing skies. Yeah, I'd imagine it is. The Aurora
Northern Lights,
Borealis and all that,
yeah.
yeah.
Northern Lights, they'd have seen them very lovely. No pollution in the skies, no
No.
light pollution, nothing in them days.
So Franklin's ship ended up being trapped in a remote and desolate area which Inuit rarely visited, calling it Tunic, the back of beyond. Even they called this area the back of beyond.
Yeah, so they are remote.
So they couldn't rely on local people for meat, clothing and oil as other expeditions had. But they got enough supplies for about 3 to 5 years, and British expeditions were experienced at overwintering in the Arctic.
Not this time, clearly.
No, I also want to point out that they actually given great thought to entertaining the men on this voyage. There was a library with about 2,000 books. There were even costumes for them to dress up and do shows in.
Do little pantomimes.
Yeah.
Sods operas.
Yeah, there was
Still do them now.
there was costumes on board. They got a piano there. The piano was on board.
I'd imagine it'd have been quite a nice piano as well. It'd probably been a decent one.
At one point, they even lashed the two ships together and had a ballroom dance. One ship was the dance floor, and the other was the refreshments.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it still ain't winning me over going though.
No, not when you think that at night it's getting to like minus 48 and minus 35 by day. That's in Celsius, centigrade, Celsius. Which one is it?
Same thing.
Both.
Yeah.
Celsius if you're old-fashioned English.
That sent a shiver down me.
Just thinking about it.
Yeah.
48 minus 48. Fucking hell. I've been out in minus 14 and that was bad enough.
Your sweat literally turns to ice.
Cool.
That's the issue, innit?
Yep.
You know, everyone's got woolen greatcoats on, balaclavas, gloves, everything, but you still sweat.
Yeah.
They're inspected every week for signs of scurvy. Obviously, the British sailors' nickname is the Limey.
Yep.
You know, that's because they would suck on lemons and limes to ward off scurvy, get that vitamin D.
Bit C, isn't it?
D or C?
C, isn't it?
C. Vitamin C.
Vitamin D's from
Oh
the
yeah,
sun,
sunlight. You know what? In my head, I went, is it C or D? C or D? Take a Brisbane, take a punt. The men, and so sore gums are an early sign, but scurvy can mean that old wounds reopen, teeth loosen, and the skin bruises easily. Now, they were supplied with lemon or lime juice to prevent it, but it was a constant problem on polar expeditions, as fresh fruit and vegetables tended to run out. And even if you canned it, eventually, especially with the seals on these cans, a lot of it spoiled.
Yeah.
So they were going without their vitamin C. Yeah. Inuit eat their meat raw, which ensured they got enough vitamin C, bless them.
I didn't know that.
I
Makes
didn't
sense, doesn't it? Because
What,
no
the-
fruit and vegetables up there, is there?
No. I've said, yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched a documentary about that.
Yeah. Because they eat it raw,
Lunch
they
on
get the
it.
vitamin C from it.
They need to put in so many calories because of the cold and your internal
It's like,
warmth system.
yeah, like 5,000-6,000 calories or
Stupid.
something like.
The
Yeah.
polar explorers, yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, Inuits.
Oh yeah, well anyone that's trudging through the snow, innit? It's
Generally, people that live there
yeah.
tend to eat like 2-3 times the calorie value that we do.
I think even when the Top Gear guys went there, they had to eat, and even though they were they were doing a lot of physical labour as well, weren't they? And they cut through the ice and everything. Still, even cars. But imagine trying to do that in a ship.
You know when we first encountered the Inuit, they found they ate with metal cutlery.
Mm.
Who's working the metal?
Figure that one out. If you can.
Do you think they just got left there by some ship? Some ship
No.
went really off course.
No, it wasn't that. No.
Are we talking? We're not talking knife and fork here, are we? We're talking a knife.
Utensils made out of metal, yeah.
Where would they get the metal from?
That's it. Where did they get the metal from?
Yeah, who's working that metal? You don't see Inuit villages, do you? With like a blacksmith and everything. Mind you, never seen an Inuit village. In all fairness.
I tell you,
Go on.
they got it from meteorites.
Never.
Yeah,
Ace.
That had landed.
Yeah.
And, crashed
on the
up
ice, and it was metal, and they made utensils out of it.
Never. That's eight, isn't
It's
it?
good, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Star
Little
metal.
fact for you.
Because you've got the pole and the Aurora Borealis, your compass is absolutely fucking useless. Your compass just spins round
So it goes all over the place, doesn't it? Literally.
because it's the magnetic north. So it's just spinning. They can't do it. You can't navigate with a compass. You've got to constantly take bearings. And even doing the magnetic and meteorological observations, it would have been a key part of not only the scientific remit of the expedition, but also to navigate. You've got to do really carefully, because placing cold metal instruments up to the eye can cause the skin to be damaged or removed. And you've even got to hold your breath to stop condensation forming on the glass parts, which is then going to freeze.
This thing, we've all seen Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
You know, with a tongue on the old pole, you know. But you think of that temperature, slightest bit of moisture within your skin, which there always is.
I thought you were going to go on about when they're on the bike and all the snot's coming out their nose.
No, I was thinking when he licks the pole, when he's sat on the ski lift, on the ski lift, isn't it, if I remember rightly?
You wouldn't be licking the pole on this.
God, no.
The only person licking the pole is a sex worker on this point. And even then, probably not that much, because, you know, the sweat turns to ice in your underwear.
I was thinking because it was so cold.
Well, that's one way to warm up.
Yeah.
But the sweat's turning to ice in your underwear. Your dick's just getting frostbite.
Oh.
Your dick's fucking disappeared back into your belly, mate. It's fucked. Run away, it's that cold. You know what it's like when it's cold, it shrivels a bit.
So you have to make your excuses. If frostbite blisters fingers, makes the skin incredibly tender. Toe damage is common. The skin becomes very cold and painful before turning red, then numb, and then pale as the tissue freezes. If the blood supply is lost, gangrene may set in, and the tissue is dead, and that's when it all goes black.
Yep, not nice.
Now, Ranulph Fiennes, the Arctic explorer, the modern day guy,
hardly got any toes, is he?
he's got. I think he's missing like the tips of 3 fingers on, or all 4 fingers.
I know he's
on
lost
his one hand, because
well.
he fell over and put his hand into an ice cold ice pool, and he was like, even with the gloves on, he was just soaked through, and he got frostbite, skin went black. The doctor gave him a date for the operation, and because the skin was dead, he couldn't feel it anyway. He basically just stuck his hand in a vice, got a junior hacksaw, and cut all the dead skin away. Basically cut his fingers down to nubs. He took the top sort of third of his finger off. Right, with a junior, couldn't feel it. You can't feel a thing. He's just doing it. And he went back to the doctor the next week and said, "Look, I've solved the problem. It was pissing me off." And he's like, "Well, actually, you did quite a good job of that."
He what? Was?
Is.
He's still around.
Yeah.
He's a fucking legend, that
He's
bloke.
ex-SAS, isn't he? He's...
I remember watching a few, like, when he's interviewed with, like, Parkinson and things like that, and he's just legendary, isn't he?
Yeah.
He really is. He's such a proper typical... He's one of those very stereotypical, stiff upper lip Englishman kind of...
Well, he's officer class, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, it's just... So, of course, it's not just frostbite. It's not just ripping your face off when you try and take your balaclava off. Ow, by the way.
Yeah.
Hypothermia. Don't get wet. People shiver uncontrollably, become sleepy and slur their speech, get amnesia, become confused. The heart slows and then they pass out and they're dead.
Yep.
Nice.
And they probably take their clothes off just before that, don't they?
Yeah.
That's one of the...
Yeah, it's weird because they get really hot.
I think they're on.
They think that it feels like their skin's on fire, so they like just take all their clothes off, and of course that just drops the body temperature right down. Some evidence suggests obviously that's what happened in what's that Russian Bigfoot case that everyone
Dyatlov Pass.
Dyatlov Pass. Why were they naked? Because they got hypothermia and took their clothes off.
They weren't naked.
Bigfoot.
Some
orgy.
of them were. Oh, it was a Bigfoot orgy.
They were in bed though, weren't they?
Well, they found the bodies like everywhere, didn't they?
Yeah.
Not everywhere splattered, but you know, some had ran one way, some had gone the other. Someone was up a tree.
But it was obvious they were in bed because they'd cut the way out of the tent.
Yeah.
But that could be because someone's got hypothermia and starts hallucinating.
Never know, will we?
Oh yeah, no, we won't. That's the thing.
They did have cows on board then.
They did have cows, yeah. Cattle, sheep, pigs, hens to be eaten in the early stage. I bet it's a shitter when that runs out, isn't it? Your fresh meat runs out. Yeah. There was 3 pets aboard the Erebus, a monkey that Lady Franklin had presented to the ship.
Gotta have a monkey, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a Royal Navy sailing ship in the 1850s. You've got to have a monkey.
Maybe a little marmoset or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Probably.
An old Newfoundland dog called Neptune and a cat.
Newfoundlands, they're beautiful dogs.
Yeah, they are nice, aren't they? And it's called Neptune as well, so it's got to be like some kind of sailor thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone loved Neptune. The monkey was an amusing but annoying thief, and everyone liked the cat because he caught rats.
Hey.
It's still like very much like a sort of Nelson era setup. Like the Marines and the officers get their own quarters, but everyone else is sleeping in hammocks slung on the deck, basically.
On the deck or
Under in the decks, not on the deck, in the decks. Yeah. So imagine where the gun. Like you used to have like.
frosty.
Yeah.
Very frosty.
Sleeping outside today, boys. Minus 45.
My balls have literally fallen off. There's a total of 7,088 pounds of tobacco. That's a lot of tobacco.
Fucking hell.
That's how much they took with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
No way.
And they've even got 2,700 pounds of candles to provide light during the long, dark winter months. In the Arctic winter, the sun doesn't come up for like 7 days at a time, does it?
Yeah.
So they sailed up the Wellington Channel before turning south towards Beechy Island, where they would spend the winter. So they're expecting to winter at this specific spot. And in the spring they sailed south down Peel Sound, but off the northernmost point of King William Island, they were trapped by the ice flow down the McClintock Channel.
How do they know this?
People have mapped this. There's been polar expeditions. John Franklin's been on too.
Yeah, but how do they know that they did this?
I
and
don't
went
know for
this
sure,
far?
I guess.
Is this just speculation? Because the last time they were seen was like 2 years ago.
I think it's where the ships have been found now. But I think there was a note left. It might have given positions. It probably would have given positions where the ship was.
Right. Because I was thinking, like, how the fuck do they know all this? Like, if no one had seen them since
I'm thinking that.
then, it's like,
I'm thinking maybe that was the plan all along to go that way.
I suppose that they would have had a route.
They've done it
They
before.
would have had a plan.
Yeah.
So in the spring of 1847, so they've been there 2 years now. A party from the expedition travelled across the ice to Point Victory on shore and deposited a written record of their progress in a stone cairn. It is thought they reached Cape Herschel on the south coast of the island, filling in the unexplored part of the Northwest Passage, but Sir John Franklin died in June that year. So he's dead. Gone. And so have 15 of his officers and 19 of his men. They've had typhus, tuberculosis.
Oh. What do they do with them then?
They buried them, actually, to be fair. They buried them up there. They did find the graves. They're still there.
But what, as they died, what would you do? Take them on top and just...
Get a sled, take them out to a bit of land and bury
So
them.
the leader was one of the early ones to die then?
Yeah, he died. He was
Yeah.
one of the first to die, yeah.
No, I'm saying where
But
would you
very-
keep them until you come across land?
Oh, it's all frozen
You're
over.
frozen.
You're stuck in the ice.
Oh, yeah.
You've been there for 2 years, frozen solid. You can't move. Yeah.
Well, they had to take them to the land.
Yeah.
They were still trapped in the ice. Erebus and Terror drifted south until Captain Crozier ordered their abandonment in April 1948. 1848. 1848.
Been here
103 years later, finally we give up!
Is that British pluck? So they can't go any further, and they're like, right, supplies are starting to run low. We're going to walk 240 miles through the ice, through the snow, to the Great Fish River and drop down into Canada. That's the plan. And they fill...
Not everybody, there was
most of them still. We've still lost 19 men, 15 officers.
No, it says a party from the expedition, so it wasn't all of them went on this expedition.
They
It
went
was
to get help.
105 surviving men.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The 105 surviving men headed south for Great Fish
So
River.
left the women behind.
No, they went. Well, presumably they went with them. They did leave the sick and the dying because you can't. You've got a lot of these blokes are going down with scurvy, and they're pulling a lifeboat behind them. Like most of the crew pulling this lifeboat that's filled with their supplies. It probably weighs quite a few tons. And if you were too sick to march at the start, they'd put you on the boat and they'd pull you along with it. But the problem is you've got scurvy. You're in agony. At some points they're going across like gravel because everything's frozen.
Yeah.
There's like really sharp, rocky bits of it. They're pulling this boat across gravel. They're pretty slicing their feet, boots to shreds. And the blokes are just getting judded about, and all they're doing is opening wounds and bruising. So they're just in agony, and in the end, they just like leave them in shelters. That's it.
Got them overboard.
In 1859, because they did go and look for him. In 1859, the sole piece of paper that revealed anything about what happened was discovered, and is known as the Victory Point Note. So that's the thing they left in the stone cairn at Victory Point. There was a standard typed Admiralty form, but there was handwritten messages which said that the ships had been deserted on the 22nd of April 1848 and been stuck in the ice since the 12th of September 1846. It's had 2 years.
Nearly 2 years.
Nearly 2 years stuck in the ice. The note confirmed that John Franklin had died on the 11th of June 1847, and they set off under the command of Captain F.R.M. Crozier. On foot, dragging boats. Oh.
And you're starving.
Starving, you're malnourished, and you've got to walk
It's
240 miles in minus 35 in the day, and you've got to bed down in minus 48 for the night. Your underwear is frozen solid. Your penis is an ice block. You can't take your balaclava off because you'll rip off your beard and your face.
Nightmare, innit? What's the alternative? Just sit there and starve to death. You've got no choice,
ship,
have you?
Yeah.
There's no food left. That's it. You gotta go.
If you're like, we've got enough food left for 6 months and this ice ain't fucking budging. Yeah. You've got to
At
do
some point
something.
you've got to make that decision. No one's coming to get you. Not in time.
It's like a space mission at that
Yeah,
time,
you
isn't
might
it?
as well be on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You might as well be on the moon. So 2 years, and Franklin's wife, Lady Franklin, just goes to the Admiralty. He's like, "Why aren't you looking for them?" And they're like, "Oh, Sir John's an experienced Arctic explorer. He'll be fine." Because it's a bit of lack of prestige, isn't it, for the Royal Navy? Like, oh shit, just lost.
She pushed it, didn't she? She kept
on pushing it. She went to her mate Charles Dickens, who wrote several articles in newspapers for her.
And even though by this point he was already dead, she didn't know.
She could get writing to him, quite heartbreaking in a way. But the loss of Sir John Franklin, a British hero, captured the public imagination. And between 1847 and 1880, over 30 search expeditions ventured to the Arctic in the hopes of uncovering the fate of the expedition and probably, trying to find that Northwest Passage. Traces of Franklin's first winter camp on Beech Island were found in 1850, but his progress and fate remained a mystery. Urged by Franklin's widow, Lady Jane Franklin, Parliament and even the British press, as public concern grew and the Admiralty dispatched expeditions both overland and by sea. However, by 1850 there was still no clues to the fate of the crew, and the British government, after much criticism for not doing anything for 5 years, offered substantial rewards of 20,000 English pounds at the time, which must have been probably enough to fucking live your life on.
That's like £1 million now, that would be.
It's probably a ridiculous amount of money now. 20,000.
You'd buy a house for £100 in them days. Well, you really could, though. You'd buy a shit-hot mansion for fucking 10 grand and live the rest of your life in luxury.
Yeah, but you've got to go to one of the most remote places on the earth to try and find it.
Yeah, but it's going to entice people, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And over the course of the next 30 years, news and relics such as tin cans, snow goggles and cutlery filtered back to Britain. And together, these objects spoke of what had happened. The deaths of the entire crew through a combination of factors including scurvy and starvation.
No.
Now, in 1854, Dr. John Ray brought back Inuit stories that the expedition had perished somewhere to the west of the Back River. It appeared that some of the men had resorted to cannibalism, as many bodies were mutilated and body parts were found in cooking pots.
No.
So they eventually find the camp, and there's dead bodies huddled together in ragged tents, and there's in one tent there's like a few mutilated bodies that had obviously been cut up for meat, and they found body parts in the cooking pots. On the bodies, they did find the skeletal remains. They'd been mutilated in a way to dehumanise them. Faces, hands, feet off, heads usually.
Yeah.
Because if you can dehumanise your next meal, it's not a person then, is it? It's just food.
Yeah, it'll just be a thigh, you know,
Yeah.
a buttock.
A buttock
Cheek.
here, buttock there. What's a buttock between friends?
You'll never sit straight again.
This steak has got a nipple on it.
Oh, you had to have the nipple, didn't you? Oh, breast man. KFC, I've got to have the breast.
I don't want the arsehole.
This isn't I'm a Celebrity, is it?
And they found a lot of lead in the bones.
Got a lead?
A lot of lead in the bones.
Why is that?
I'll have a think.
Ooh.
What was on the ship that might give him lead poisoning?
The solder on the cans
Oh.
was lead,
Oh.
and that seeped into the food. Although there's like a bit of debate about the lead poisoning. When they did the reports of the bodies, they said, the amount of lead was no higher than it would be for a normal person at the time.
It says that they found the amount of lead in the bones of some of the men was exponentially high.
Yeah. Well, I'd heard that, but if you combine that with your scurvy and your malnutrition, you're probably getting lead poisoning. But if it's exponentially high, if the canned food was literally made by the lowest bidder. The Royal Navy bought it from the lowest bidder. And
At the time, they didn't understand about lead poisoning, did they?
No, not certainly, or certainly no one gave it enough thought about at that point. I mean, I think they knew about lead poisoning because you'd have people working in lead mines, wouldn't you? They'd be doing that shit by hand.
Yeah.
But I think they just thought, it'll be alright.
Yeah, it's only a bit.
It's only a bit, it'll be fine.
So the chances are that they went mad before they ate each other.
Ray!
Yay! So you're hallucinating, you're tripping your balls off. Your mate's a fucking demon now, and you shank him in the chest and he dies, and you're so hungry, you gotta eat him.
Well, at least they were maybe a little bit less aware in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, there is that.
Not nice though, is it?
Not nice at all.
So yeah, join the Navy.
In the Navy, you can eat your sailor's bones in the Navy. Fuck yeah.
So, during later research on Beechy Island, Dr. Beatty and a specialised team exhumed and autopsied 3 remarkably well-preserved crewmen who had died and were buried during the expedition's first winter in the Arctic. Examination of tissues collected from the men's bodies reaffirmed Beatty's earlier theory that lead poisoning is one of the factors leading to the expedition's destruction. These bodies are really remarkably well preserved. They've still got beards. You can find them online if you want to see them, listener. They're a bit creepy but they're incredibly well preserved.
Where were they found? Sorry.
In the graves.
Like,
They were the first guys to
got
die. Then they actually dug proper graves for them.
Well, I suppose it's like they'd just been digging straight down into pure ice, pretty much. Well,
Frozen ground.
yeah, but in a way, it's almost just like ice. So you
Yeah.
imagine the preservation of the human body compared to just being in normal room temperature soil. It's going to be massive, innit?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have a look at those pictures if we can find them after.
Oh, we couldn't find them,
Looking
yeah.
for the wank bank later.
Oh yeah,
Oh my god.
Mike, we've told you before now. Necrophilia is not good. That doctor was meant to have fixed you.
We paid for all them fucking hours of expensive therapy, Mike.
Still with the necrophilia.
Always,
My word.
Always with the necrophilia. Ugh.
And it holds a goal.
It's a really cold one you really crack open, isn't it? Just want to point out, right, for anyone thinking, well, why didn't they just try and break the ice? They really tried to break the ice. They were out there with pickaxes and sledgehammers. They even used explosives.
I bet it was a few metres thick, wasn't it?
It was just, as soon as it was even slightly broken and massively thick, it just fucking refroze. It's minus 35. You know, it's... And you're trying to get through it with 4 knots and some sail power.
Yeah, they underestimated their abilities, didn't they?
They did. They thought these things... It's like almost a bit of a sort of... It's like a pride comes before a fall, isn't it? Like, oh, we've made these like already strong ships even stronger. We've put fucking steam engines in them. We've got central heating. We're going for this. We've got to succeed. This is the best anyone's ever done. Anyone's ever attempted to do. And then all of a sudden everyone's gone mad and at each other.
Well, over a space of 2-3 years.
Yeah, but still,
That's a fucking prolonged torture, that.
I don't know, man. I mean,
I guess for the first...
how long is it going to take before when society crumbles before we start eating each other?
Well, with you, 3 days,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. Well, I didn't say eat you guys. If there's a ready supply of bodies about, I'll... You know, just throwing it out there. So in 2014 and 2016, the wrecks of HMS Erebus and Terror were finally discovered, shedding new light on the much-debated fate of Franklin's final expedition. The further dives conducted by underwater archaeologists from Parks Canada in collaboration with the Inuit Heritage Trust have revealed even more fascinating finds. We've got some epaulets. Look at them bastards. Love them. Some epaulets. Basically, it's like... It's everything they had. It's all there. It's everything they couldn't take with them. There was a pair of like little knitted gloves found, and they had like a heart on them. They wouldn't have worked as gloves, but obviously that was something had knitted for them.
Yeah.
And they took with them, and they were found on the side of on the deck. So like they've been put there to dry.
Stuff and a bottle of port.
Oh, you'd have fucking had that with you, wouldn't you? Fucking hell.
Maybe.
If I'm going out into the fucking minus 35 day, minus 48 at night, I'm taking the port.
Guessing it was probably empty.
Yeah, it might have just like the remnant, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although human remains have been found on King William Island and may yet be found on the ships, the chances of knowing who they were remain slim to us despite advances in DNA technology. Although they have found some actual potential DNA and a fingerprint, which is interesting. To date, only two... Sorry, go on.
Why would you want a fingerprint then?
Well, they could identify him, I guess, you know.
Put it in the complete police database from back then, is it?
You could, I don't know,
Just finding out what happened is...
So artifacts is a link to the past,
Yeah.
and it shows that we're just reading it. It was like
DNA,
this is terrible. Like,
Or they want to make a clone of him and bring him back.
oh no, because
And find out who it was then. Who are you?
I'm Dave.
Yep, that one was Dave. Right.
Yeah, but now we've got a Victorian bloke wandering around in modern Britain. It's gonna blow his fucking mind. I'll give him 30 seconds in a kitchen before the microwave pings. His head explodes.
So he got run over in traffic as soon as he left.
Or he gets run over in traffic as soon as he fucking
as soon
steps
as he
out.
left the room, he got hit by a car, mate.
Yeah.
So it was done.
So the voyage of HMS Terror and HMS Erebus, I think Sir John Franklin got off lucky.
In a roundabout way, yes.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
didn't have to suffer, did he?
Well, he wasn't going to be pulling a bloody sledge. He was
No.
like 59, 58, 59 when he went on this. It was like his last hurrah.
Really was his last hurrah. Without so much of a hurrah.
He might have been
Oh,
a
that's
hero.
hurrah.
He might have been a hero, but he was also like a bit of a figure of fun.
Yeah.
Because like he discovered this range of mountains and like in the Arctic and named that himself, and it turned out they were clouds. You know, and he needed his own shoes to survive.
Yeah.
So although he was a hero, he was also considered a bit of a figure of fun, and this is kind of like no one could laugh about him anymore because he's dead now.
We can.
You know, that's the thing, and it's like You just
No,
force
it's
the
a tragedy,
captain, and
isn't
you're
it?
like, oh fuck! Imagine just being the captain, like, oh, we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go. Stay here, or we're gonna die. We might make the 240 miles.
10-day walk
10 days.
in normal
Yeah,
conditions.
You're
But
pulling,
in them
you're pulling a
conditions,
Probably looking about a
lifeboat.
month.
I was thinking about a month.
if not more than that.
Yeah, maybe.
You're pulling a lifeboat that's filled with your remaining canned food, which is heavy. It's got to be a few tons.
You'd be lucky.
Plus
to
the wounded.
You'd be lucky to get 5 miles a day.
I think you just decrease. I mean, after like a few days, you'd be down to like a mile, wouldn't you? And you've got terrain to take into account.
Yeah.
When you're not dragging it across the snow and ice anymore, you're dragging it across
There's
rocks.
going to be some days where you just cannot travel because of the weather. Blizzards
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
White out.
Yeah, tragic.
And you're going mad because you've got lead poisoning.
Yeah.
And you've got scurvy.
And
And you're
You're
malnourished.
fucking hungry. Yeah.
Oh.
You've been stuck in this desolate place for 3 years. By this point.
You've not seen a tree or anything other than white.
Let's not forget, you're
No
probably being...
signs of life.
Can you be... Hang on, there's a polar bears.
Yeah, they're messy.
Yeah. You're probably getting eaten by polar bears too.
Well, if you've ever seen the series, The Terror, which is based on this, there is like Franklin gets killed by a polar bear and that, and they take a bit of artistic
Yeah.
license. But yeah, some of them might have been eaten by polar bears. It's a possibility.
Or at least the carcasses, because I don't think bears are that fussy.
No,
they
no,
don't
no.
mind a frozen,
That's
you
it.
know, dinner, do they?
Meat.
People pop.
Mum. No, not them fucking moon pandas.
People sickle.
Well, I think the thing is, it's like also a massive blow to British prestige, isn't it? You know, the Royal Navy's
Yeah,
prestige,
it's a massive
anyway.
failure, isn't it?
Because the Royal Navy's used to just doing stuff and winning.
Well, you can't win them all, can you?
No, no, it's still... And their sort of lacklustre response to go and look for these guys. Nah, they got enough food for 3 years. We'll send someone out after them.
Giant blowtorches. That would have been the answer.
Not invented.
Rig up giant blowtorches on the front of the ship.
Flamethrowers.
Yeah.
Huge magnifying glasses to capture the weak sun to burn the ice in front of you.
What they should have had is a backup ship anchored off like the coast of Greenland or something, and if after 2 years
I see what you're saying.
they can sail up and see what's happened and hopefully rescue them. That would have
Or
made
you get
sense,
3
wouldn't it?
ships stuck in the ice. And more dudes going mad and killing you. And
Well, in that
eating each
case, you have a third support ship.
other. Every support ships you want.
746.
Until they just form like a land bridge back to Greenland.
That's it.
They just didn't take enough ships, did they?
No.
If they'd have built a bridge out of ships,
Yep,
all the way there,
they would have done it.
they'd have done it. But no. Royal Navy was too tight.
Ah, dear. Hindsight, what a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Alright, I think that's the story of HMS Terror
Yeah.
and HMS Erebus. And, you know, RIP.
Yeah.
Not a nice way to go.
No.
No.
But, you know, light and fluffy, warm up for Christmas.
Particularly at the dog.
I'd imagine the dog died
I didn't
first.
think about that.
I didn't think of that. Or the monkey.
Oh,
Or the cat.
Monkey burger.
Monkey burger, monkey brains.
You can
I
have
like
the
to
brains,
think-
I'll just have to meat.
I like to think they all survived the longest. Like, they were the last things left.
Yeah, no,
In fact, the dog,
the monkey, the,
The
dog,
dog,
and the cat survived.
they survived, yeah, because they all fucked off way before. The dog like rode the monkey rode the dog like a fucking horse, and the cat just was like,
sat on the monkey's shoulder,
I'm
probably.
doing my own thing. I'll come with you though. And he just followed, and it was like Homeward Bound. You seen that film?
Yeah.
A bit like that with a monkey, dog, and a cat. Just like that, in fact, I reckon.
I can see the monkey ripping off someone's face and eating it.
Yeah.
A little marmoset.
Yeah. I think.
It's one or the other.
Alright, I'm going with the monkey was eaten first. The cat just fucked off and died somewhere, probably. Or just hung around in
No,
the shadows
the cat-
eating.
The cat
eating
survived,
rats.
mate.
The cat's still there.
The cat's as savvy as fuck. The cat was like As soon as they got fucking iced in, the cat's like, I'm off, mate. He fucked off. He had a little rat supply. He had a little bag on his back.
He's not the littlest hobo.
He was the littlest hobo cat.
I'd have kept the dog around for as long as possible because at least his barking might put the polar bears off.
The cat was fine. Dog was fine because he just ate his own faeces and kept himself nourished.
It's got to go round and round.
until he feral. He goes feral from lack of food and starts eating the dead. Poor Neptune. Ah, well. That's the end of the show, isn't it?
On that
Yeah.
sad note,
Yeah.
Can't wait for Christmas.
bring it on.
I've been Ben, thanks for listening. Don't do the play rate, don't join a call.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out. May the force be with you.
I'll be Claire, keep it over 5 foot. Not so over that it spills out your ears.
I've been Pete. Have a nice week. Take care.